Today on the Small Interview Project, I'll be talking to Peter Campbell from Peter Campbell Counselling. Alright, today on the Small Interview Project, I'm with Peter Campbell from Peter Campbell Counselling. How are you today, Peter?
Good, thanks, Tony.
That's good. You're all ready for the Small Interview Project?
Yeah, give it to me.
Excellent. Peter Campbell Counselling. Pretty sure I've got a bit of an idea as to what it is, but tell me what it is you do.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. I'm a counsellor in private practice. I specialise in stress, anxiety, depression, loss and grief and men's issues.
Okay.
And what I love about that work is that it gives it, what I'm doing is helping people get unstuck. By that I mean that this room gives people time and space to get unstuck, and the idea that they're going to go on and lead fuller lives because of what they've worked out here is really enriching. So it's a great way to work.
And you mentioned you focus on men, so is it just men, or that's just you'd prefer to work with men?
It's about 70-30.
Okay, so you will look at both people?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
and some couples counselling as well.
Oh great, okay. And tell me, why did you go into business in the first place?
I found working for institutions and other people unrewarding. I found the work not... It really didn't feel like I had control of the time of my work, and I certainly have now.
Right.
So there's cost, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the idea that I set the agenda and I'm responsible for the results and I get the credit for the results, to me is just the sweet spot. I really love it.
So you like the fact that you're your own boss and you master of your own time and destiny?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. If you had to go back and start over again, what would you change?
Only one thing.
Yeah?
And that is, when I started, I thought I was going to be a big business.
Oh, okay.
It turns out that I'm perfectly suited to a small business.
Right.
This is exactly right for me.
Okay.
I don't need to spend my time expanding.
Yeah.
I've seemed to have found now, after about 5 years, that this is the size business. This is manageable. Right. It's an income. It's doing the work I love. So it's a nice fit. So I don't need branch number 2 of Peter Campbell Counselling for a set of employees.
So is that just a lesson that you've learnt along the way, or did you actually start going big and then back off?
I imagined it bigger
when
I started, and I found it wasn't kind of a natural game. This was the level that really works for me. Right. It's a good balance.
Yeah, okay. So you prefer that personal contact rather than sort of becoming a big organisation where you lose some of that individuality?
I suppose I think of it in these terms, that the downside is it's not scalable, so I'm never going to have a big income because it's face-to-face and it's just my hours. That's the downside. The upside is I decide the hours, I decide how much to put in.
Absolutely. No, that's one of the big good advantages of being in business for yourself. You decide how much time and effort you can put in. What about your biggest challenge? What's your biggest challenge in business been so far?
Not being lazy about the regulatory stuff. Right. About the legals. Okay. I felt badly behind in my business activity statements.
Bad boy.
And became terrified for a short time. But I'm over it now.
So, how did you manage that? Which I guess leads into the next question. How do you balance working on your business versus in your business?
What I found was that if I approached it this way, it worked. Work on what you love. Yep. Meet your regulatory requirements, like your baths. Yep. And everything else is optional. Okay. So the amount of working on your business is entirely up to you. So you'll find times when you need help. Yep. And you'll find times when you have a choice of a whole lot of things that are put before you that you could take up, which you should consider carefully and reject most of. Right. And then you end up with a work-life balance that's pretty good. If you don't do that, you'll end up with probably no family and no friends.
No, that's probably sound advice as well. So just on that, making the conscious decision to sort of keep the business at a certain sort of scale and certain size, do you feel that there's a reduction in the need to work on the business, or do you sort of just only pick those important things and the regulatory items that you need to focus on, or do you still each spend each year doing your planning and working out your forecasting and some of those basics? Or
you've got to do some basics. You can't get around that. You've got to have a basic structure that works. I'd say that the biggest structural thing you've got to do is build up referral sources. Right. If you're doing that, then a lot of other things will go okay. Someone once said to me, just go and make the money and work out everything else later, which is probably not a bad kind of thing to say for a startup.
For a startup, yeah.
If you're doing the work you love, the money starts coming in. There'll be things you'll learn you have to do, and you'll learn them. But you don't want to commit yourself to a huge ongoing structure that sucks the life out of you.
Yeah, definitely. Look, Peter, you've given us some good advice so far, but just one final piece of advice that you'd give somebody who's about to consider going into business. What would you say to them?
Do the work you're passionate about.
Yep.
And everything else will kind of follow. Have a bit of structure, love your work, and love the rest of your life too.
Okay, excellent. Peter, look, thanks very much. Some very insightful bits of advice and some tips there for people. So thanks for the time on the interview project today.
Thanks, Tony.